Today, we're gonna make ricotta cheese. In this process, we're going to take milk, heat it up, and add an acid. In this case, it's gonna be lemon juice. The lemon juice causes the proteins in the milk to clump together. And you are then left with these clumpy curds and this watery whey. We drain the whey off, and then what we have is cheese. But don't worry, you can use the whey in other recipes that call for milk or buttermilk, like buttermilk pancakes. And it's a really fun process, and cooking is science. So, when you choose your milk, you're going to want to try and choose either a raw milk or an not ultra pasteurized milk. When it's pasteurized, it has less of a chance to curdle, and that's the opposite of what we want. And then I'm going to use fresh lemon juice that I squeeze myself, but you can also use store-bought lemon juice. If you're gonna use fresh lemons, I find rolling them out before cutting makes them a little easier to juice. You're gonna have to have some way to heat the milk. I have a stove and a pot. And then for the straining at the very end, I take a container like this, I put a strainer over it, and then you have this stuff called cheesecloth, which is super helpful, very fine, and it comes in this long thing. And I fold it over a bunch of times because you want a lot of layers in order to get a very, very fine whey coming through there and not losing a lot of your curds. I set it up like this and let it sit to drain. All right. Oh, and we're also gonna add a little bit of salt to the cheese because it enhances the flavor. Here we go. You only need a little bit of the lemon juice too. For my quart of milk, I'm gonna be using at most a quarter cup of lemon juice. As you heat your milk, you want to maintain a temperature just below boiling. So a nice little simmer. I add in my little pinch of salt, and this can be to flavor, and then we wait and watch. You'll want to stir occasionally just to make sure you don't burn your milk. But it doesn't need to be constant, and if you're making this to put in lasagna, you can do the rest of your prep work. Heating it on a consistent medium-low heat is gonna give you a better result. Starting to do a little bit of dancing, which means simmering is near. This is when you want to keep an eye on it a little bit more because milk can burn very quickly. And that same kind of curdling process can do a little bit of this film that forms on top. And once you've reached your simmer, you want to let it sit here for just a little bit, maybe 5 minutes at most, to get those proteins ready to be denatured. Also, just a word of safety and caution, well, a couple, is that this is hot, so having an adult present is probably really smart. And also, if you do choose to go with unpasteurized or raw milk, there is a chance that there is bacteria there because that pasteurization is a super high heating process that kills the bacteria. So if you have a lowered resistance to disease, you might want to choose to go with pasteurized milk, just not an ultra pasteurized option. I don't know if you can see it, but the top of my milk is kind of going like this, making for a little bit of a dancing pattern. That is a really good simmer. Now that I've let it simmer for a little bit and get nice and hot, I'm going to turn the heat off and add in my lemon juice. And as we stir, it should curdle and separate. Ooh. It's weird looking for sure. And using a quart of milk, you're not going to get a quart of cheese. You're actually going to have far more whey runoff than you will actual ricotta. All right, I'm gonna let this sit in, curl for a little bit longer, and then we're going to pour it into our straining device. Remember that it is very hot, so you want to be careful and not burn your fingers. And there's that ricotta cheese at the bottom. All right, and now we just let it sit and drain. So it's still very hot, but I like to lift up the edges and kind of get as much of the moisture out of the cheese as I can. I do a little bit of folding over, and then you can twist. But remember again, the cheese is hot, so don't burn your fingers. And I just make a little pocket and I squeeze, and you can kind of see that more of the whey is even coming out now. But like I said, it's really hot right now. So you can wait for a lot longer, even until the cheese cools down, and do this process. But then I take my fresh made ricotta and I put it into a little container and put it in the refrigerator. And I save my whey actually in a container like this and put it in the fridge, and I'll use it in buttermilk pancakes, or I will use it as part of my sourdough bread or other things. You can also add it to like cereal in the morning and have a healthier addition to your breakfast meal. And with ricotta, you can eat it in lasagna. It's a main part. I actually really like to eat it cold on my toast in the morning with a little bit of honey and cardamom, and it's a really, really delicious treat. I hope you've enjoyed today's kitchen science and making some cheese. Now hopefully you'll get to enjoy it. Have a great rest of your day.